Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Calvin Tobin Show. I am your host, Calvin Tobin. Today we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. All right, the 2022-2023 NHL regular season is officially in the books, and here's a recap of some of the most wild things that we are able to witness this year. First off is none other than the dude himself, Connor McDavid, and he had one of the most legendary seasons that we have seen in a long time. And what he did is he finished the season with 153 points, which is 64 goals and 89 assists. He is the first player since the 1995-1996 season to reach 150 points. He is also the sixth player in NHL history to reach 150 points. And while he was doing all this, he also set a few different milestones for himself. And one of those milestones is that he was able to reach 50 and 60 goals for the first time in his career, finishing the season with 64. And the other milestones that he got is he just got his third consecutive Art Ross trophy, and he just got the Maurice Rocket Richard trophy for the first time in his career. And while Connor McDavid was having a legendary season just for himself, the Boston Bruins had the most legendary regular season of all time for any NHL team in history. And what they did is they got a record of 65, 12, and 5, finishing their season with 135 points. And they couldn't have done this without three players, and one of the players is David Pastrnak, as he finished his season with over 100 points, and he got 60 goals on the season, being the only other player to reach 60 goals this season other than Connor McDavid. And the Boston Bruins could not have had this legendary season if it wasn't for them having the best goalie duo in the league with Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark, as they won the William M. Jennings Trophy. And Linus Ullmark had the most legendary goalie season of all time, because for one, he finished his season with a record of 46-1 and allowing only 1.9 goals per game, and he broke a record that stood for 93 years that was originally held by a former Bruin goalie named Tiny Thompson. And the record he broke was the fewest games to get to 25 wins, and Linus Ullmark did it in 28 games. From now on, for the rest of hockey history, the only way that a goalie will be able to beat that record is they have to be perfect. They have to be. And it has to be another legendary season as well with his team as well, because the only way, because you have to win 25 games in 25, 26, or 27 games. The only way is to be perfect. And while the Bruins were having a legendary season and having the greatest NHL regular season of all time, they weren't the only team that stunned us with how great they were. And the other team is the New Jersey Devils, because last year they finished their season with 27 wins. And even though that they had a great offseason, even going into the season, they weren't expected to have any more than 30 to 33 wins. And then they ended up doubling it by getting 52 wins. And they couldn't have done it without the help of their best guy, Jack Hughes, who was one of the top goal scorers in the league this year and their top goal scorer this year, finishing the season with 43 goals. And he was so close and just shy of getting 100 points by finishing his season with 99. Now, since the Stanley Cup playoff bracket or Stanley Cup playoffs is all good to go and set up, in the first round, there is one series that everybody should be watching, and that is the Toronto Maple Leafs Tampa Bay Lightning series, because the Toronto Maple Leafs were phenomenal this year. Their defense surpassed all expectations of what we thought they were going to do, and that's what their problem was from previous years in the playoffs. And because of how dominant they were this year, getting 50 wins, they might actually finally break their first round curse and beat the 3-time straight Stanley Cup appearing Tampa Bay Lightning, winning 2 of them. And Tampa Bay hasn't been all that great this year, especially finishing the season. So Toronto is most likely going to win this series in 6 games. But before the 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs start, the 2023 NBA playoffs start today, and the NBA play-in finished last night with the Miami Heat and the Minnesota Timberwolves moving on and securing their spot in the first round, with the Miami Heat playing the Milwaukee Bucks and the Minnesota Timberwolves will be playing the Denver Nuggets. Today there are 4 games. There are 4 games on, and 3 of them are from the Eastern Conference, while 1 of them is the Western Conference. And the first game starts today at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, with the last game starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The games that are on today will be the Brooklyn Nets versus the Philadelphia 76ers, the Atlanta Hawks versus the Boston Celtics, the New York Knicks versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Golden State Warriors versus the Sacramento Kings. And this is what I have, who I have winning out of all 4 of these series to start out the NBA playoffs. The first one with the Brooklyn Nets and the 76ers, I have the 76ers sweeping the Brooklyn Nets, because even though the Brooklyn Nets are one of the best shot blocking team this year, they only have Mikal Bridges to be their best scorer and their main scorer to be able to put points on the board. And even when Brooklyn had KD and Kyrie, they still couldn't beat Philadelphia at all this year. In the Atlanta Hawks Boston Celtics series, I have the Celtics sweeping the Hawks because the Atlanta Hawks are a small ball team, and the Celtics have been one of the best teams from top to bottom all year long. And they have the best dynamic duo in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. These guys have been together their entire career, and they have been so close to getting that ring, with their closest shot going 6 games against the Golden State Warriors in last year's NBA Finals. So they have a chip on their shoulder, and it's most likely that they could finally finish the job this year. With the Warriors and the Kings series, I have the Kings winning in 7 games. These 2 guys are the top 2 scoring teams in the NBA this year, so it's going to be a shootout the entire time. And even though that I have the Kings winning, this series is going to go down is who is going to have the ball last and who is going to be able to have that last shot. Then the final series, which is the Knicks versus the Cavaliers, I have the Cavaliers winning in 6. Both of these guys have 2 dynamic duos, with the Knicks having Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle going against the dynamic duo of Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. But all 4 of these guys can score 25, 30 points a game if they want to. But the key factor to winning this game is who is going to win off the glass, who is going to win the turnover battle, and who is going to play the better defense. Whoever is able to do that is going to come out on top, and I think Cleveland has that edge with Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. All right, that's the end of the Calvin Tobin Show. Please subscribe to my channel at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports media. And please follow me on Instagram at Calvin Tobin Show so you don't miss out on any sports news whatsoever. And I'm out.